Your EP just came out, right? Relatively recently.
Yes, September 1st.
And what's the name of it? Because I just love hearing it said out loud.
Fork Mary Kielbasa.
There you go. Perfect. Um,
Do people really say it was passable as music?
No, I made that
Okay,
up.
because it's amazing. If they did, I'd be like so happy if someone said that to me. I'm like, really? Well, great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's got to be great. You've been putting out singles since then, but now this is the first collection of stuff. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a lovely little collection it is,
Thank you.
if I
Thank
may.
you.
How long did it take you to put this all together? Was this a yet another COVID project that I feel like everyone's
Uh,
talking about?
yeah, I started writing a bunch during COVID. And we kind of just like went song by song every time something was done. We would just like record it. And eventually I had like a kind of like an overflow of like music. So we decided, why don't we just like do a little group of them? And we were actually gonna add more, but we kind of just like cut it there. We're like, all right, let's like be done with these and move on with the new songs.
And you write everything, is that
Yes.
right? So is
Mhm.
there much collaboration in the studio, or are you sort of a Billy Corgan of I'm just going to re-record all your parts?
Well, I like arrange everything in garage bands, and it's not always like fully fleshed out. And basically, we don't practice together. We all just listen to it by ourselves, and then we get into the studio, and just we start with drums and bass, and they lay it down. Sometimes it's like a little bit different, and we just build it from there.
Yeah, Crystal makes it extremely easy for the rest of us because, like she said, she does arrange every like it's a song by the time it comes to the rest of the musicians.
Hmm.
It might not be the parts that we play, but it's at least arranged how the song is going to be. Like the demo that she brings to the table, that's our scratch track, that's the tempo. We basically layer on top of that.
So it's got to be a pretty quick recording process.
Yeah, I think maybe like half, maybe no, maybe a full day for like each song,
All right,
full
so that's not
session.
bad. Oh, the Beatles would have killed for that. The Guns N' Roses would have killed for that one day.
Right.
Yeah, we also don't argue with each other in real life, so it makes it a little easier.
How does that happen? A bunch of creatives not arguing makes no sense.
So how long have you guys been together? Is this a newer endeavor, or what's the origin story?
I'll take it. Yeah, so Crystal and I have worked together for like the better part of a decade, just through other musical endeavors. And this project, definitely, like you mentioned, was a COVID thing. There wasn't, not many venues were having live music, so we kind of just started in the studio, not even thinking. I don't think you even really had a band name at that point. It was just here's a bunch of songs that we want to bring into the studio, start working on. And the musicians that we like brought in, it felt really good. It felt natural. It felt like we could probably start practicing and for a live set. So it naturally evolved as venues were opening and we could start playing out live and call it a real band. So, the first intention might have just been like a studio project.
Hmm.
Crystal will hire the different musicians that she wants to for each song, but it actually just ended up being, the first couple songs we're like, no, this is the group.
So you really vetted everybody before coming in. There wasn't a Ringo who just sort of like
No, we
last
knew
minute.
everybody really well before we started with them.
So that probably also cuts down on the arguments.
True.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
see, Heidi, this is what we should have done before we started the show.
Vetted each
Vetting,
other.
vetting, yes.
Yeah, we didn't do that at all.
So have you been able to play many shows since the EP came out?
We've just played one since the EP came out.
Oh, so the summit is the big
Yeah,
summit.
I'd say so.
Exciting.
Yeah, you guys have anything special planned for that day? Fireworks, smoke
Yeah.
bombs.
Yeah, maybe costumes. I know each song has a specific vibe. We could, if you've heard Beach Hunk, maybe one of us can throw on a mermaid tail.
Yes, please.
People love, yeah, the theatrical side of it.
I have a $50 hot dog suit actually in my house. So
That's
Wow.
perfect too.
it's a deluxe one. So
That's the
Oh,
best
well,
kind.
yeah.
Yeah, you sprung.
I might
yeah,
need
we
to borrow-
sprung.
need to borrow that. My niece informed me I had to be a hot dog with her for Halloween this year. So I need the deluxe version myself.
Is she
What,
going
what,
as
what
a-
is she going to be?
What's
Like
your
a
niece
monster or
Also a
something?
hot dog.
Oh,
when,
okay.
when she was 3, she was me. When she was 4,
She was
we
me.
we were cows. Last year we got to be Princess Leia and R2D2, so my dreams were realized that I actually got to be Princess Leia for the first time in my life. And this year, now it's all been ripped away because we have to be matching hot dogs. So, but this is what you do.
I love the idea of a couples or a duo costume, but only one person does it. Like if I was just Mustard, like I really want to just.
Amazing. Yes, that's brilliant. Or just
So-
like the horse's ass. Like
Yeah,
not the
exactly, just a
front.
sad,
That would be
lonely
the
man.
best.
I love
Yes, I
So
love
there's
that.
just, yeah, I mean, I feel like that could be us for some party. You're just walking around as Oates, and
Yes.
everyone's like, "Where's Hall?"
right? And you know I would be.
perfect.
Say who?
Oates.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
that's right. Yeah, don't talk about him. He's like Voldemort. Or say
So-
something stupid like, "Oh, he's at Daryl's house."
Yeah. There you go. That's perfect.
See?
So do you have anything special planned for the festival?
Other than
Like,
the
what-
costumes.
Yeah, costumes or otherwise.
I love that you just asked that in a way where it seemed like the costumes weren't enough.
Well, I'm just,
Like, well, what else are you bringing?
Yeah.
Will there be live
Trying to
clubs
raise the-
released? What's
yeah.
happening?
yeah, if we like have time to like figure it out, I would love to play some totally unreleased, unheard music. It's we're all like super busy, so getting together for practice is sometimes like a little bit difficult. But yeah, probably that, if anything.
And so are you guys still recording, still adding new stuff, or are you just kind of at a writing right now?
It's all, so we have like another album ready to get started on recording, and that's going to be kind of our winter project. So right now, yeah, we have like I think maybe 3 unreleased songs, and we're kind of gearing up to get started for that.
You
you have a
can't tell
title?
Crystal is a maniac about writing music. She's very like quick, and it's sometimes hard to keep up with. She's just like,
But
oh,
we-
here's another 6 songs that you can learn.
Get on that. I wrote them. Now play
Yeah.
them.
But I feel like that's sort of that's how a lot of folks work. We were just talking with someone the other day about Elton John's body of work and the fact that he just is constantly writing new stuff all the time. So, what is the name of your? Do you have a name for the album? Tumbleweed Connection,
Not
Captain
yet.
Fantastic, and the okay. Up to you.
I was thinking I wish for more wishes because that's a phrase that I love. But yeah, I'm still thinking about it.
All right. I feel like this Fork, Mary, Kielbasa, there is a lot of food references on it. Is that where the title comes from, or is this just
Yeah.
a particular subject you like exploring?
Well, I'm hungry all the time.
Okay.
Do you know the game that you played as a kid?
Oh, but of
I
course,
already know.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, please,
okay.
yes.
I didn't know if my mom didn't know what it was.
Luke was
She's like,
never a
"She's like, what
child."
is it?"
Yeah, no, I've been
He's
professional
on
for
stage
40.
always.
Yes, Fork, Mary, Kielbasa. Yeah, the hot dog reference, and then Mary, Kill. There's some like dark songs on there, then there's some sweet love songs on there. So I felt that it was kind of all encompassing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If we keep going with it, I think we should do light as a feather, stiff as a pork.
Ooh.
Let's keep,
Oh,
let's keep
that.
going.
Yes.
I like
Yeah.
That's perfect.
that.
There's so many options.
Bloody
I like
Marys,
this
Bloody
plan.
Marys, Bloody Marys.
Oh,
Yes.
that's good too.
That's good too. And then all kinds of people will be like, just talking about the album in their house and then getting murdered because they said it 3 times. So that's not going to work out so well.
No,
for
that's great PR though.
Yeah,
gonna say,
Make a name for
great
ourselves.
PR, but the fan base is going to
But the fan
diminish
base
really fast.
has all been murdered.
Right. But they can only love our work. They have nothing, they can no longer say it's passable. They have to say it's exceptional from the heavens. It's like Sparks. It's like the #1 album in heaven and hell. Who knows? So awesome. So what have your fans been saying so far about the EP and all of that?
Our what?
I'm sorry, the fans, they're people who like your music. Other folks have them, but
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't have any either. So
Yeah,
it's
no,
okay
this
if
is
you don't have them.
No, Crystal can probably answer this. You like monitor the Instagram a little bit better.
Yeah, I am on Instagram a lot. I think the reception's been really good, and yeah, people seem to be enjoying it. I think Skate Boy and Honda are kind of the 2 favorites, it seems like, off the new one, which are my 2 favorites too, actually.
Yeah, Honda's my most favorite to play. That was like my favorite one to record.
Why?
Yeah, me too.
Because I never get to do I mean, I haven't in the past done really funky guitar, and Crystal kind of like gave that as a bass for the song, and I was like, oh, this will be fun. So I got to explore a little bit with that. So
Nice.
that's why it was my favorite.
exploring the funk side.
Mhm.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
So I have to tell you, I've had a little trouble finding your band name, mostly because I keep flipping it.
Yep.
Yes, there's another
trust me.
band.
Yeah, we know all too well about
Oh.
names, but is that just sort of the phrase? What is that a reference to something in particular?
Oh yeah. So you know what? Oh, so Chalk Talk is like what? Oh, some science reference. Right?
Yeah,
Chalk
scientists
Talk.
have to. A lot of
Perfect.
like I work in a gene therapy company, and a lot of the scientists have to actually like give a chalk talk to like get the job.
wow.
Like
Okay.
yeah, and it's all whiteboard now, but it's still the phrase of chalk talk.
Right.
And then Talk Chalk is actually slang for cocaine. Gutter Chalk, talk chalk. It like makes you talk a lot. That's like
That
talk
makes
chalk, and it's
sense.
light. Yeah.
Yeah, I did not
I didn't know
one.
that either. I was like sitting on a couch and like somebody mentioned it, and I was like, oh, it's kind of funny.
And we like to think we're the cocaine of music.
Yeah.
There you
Look
go.
at that. It's all making sense now.
And I'm sure your mom loves that reference too.
Yes. But that's why it's great to go, oh, well, it's like this homage back to the scientists. and
Yeah.
Right.
Back to our
their
founding
plan.
scientists.
Right. So it's, it wins no matter what.
Excellent. Anything else we didn't cover that we need to sell a few more tickets here? Not that I think it's sold out. So, but
Very cool.
anything
really?
else I believe so. That's what Joel
Oh,
was
that's
saying.
so exciting.
Wow,
Awesome.
a month beforehand. That's really impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
awesome.
he seems to have a good track record of
Wow.
promoting it in the right way, and yeah, they get a good response. So no pressure. But yeah, anything else we didn't cover that we should be mentioning? Obviously, we will give your various socials and websites and all of that. But anything else we should cover here?
I think it's worth
that-
mentioning some of the music videos that we released
Yeah.
recently. Crystal shot and edited those music videos. So not only does she write the song, she's like our resident artist.
Multifaceted, yeah.
Yeah. And like, so I just always like to give her props for that one because
Thanks.
she like one day she was just like, hey, we're all going to show up in the studio and I'm going to paint your faces and just go with it. Like we are just kind of like her puppets to place where she wants us. And that makes our lives super easy, but also really fun because, normally you're waiting, you have to like hire someone to shoot a music video and wait for what they edit. And Crystal's just like, no. I'll learn.
We had a lot of fun doing it. Yeah, we have one for Computer Out, which has the whole band in it.
So is the band just your canvas? Is this your way to...
No, I couldn't do it without them. They're
Does the new
they
guy
have
have
so
to wear the
much-
hawk dog costume?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. That's how we haze each member. They have to wear their hot dog costume and you can't take it off, not even to go to the bathroom.
No, that would be wrong. All right. Well, Crystal, Mark, thank you so much. This was lovely.
Thank you
And
so much.
yeah, best of luck with the show and the EP. I was playing it all this morning. It's very enjoyable.
Fun.
And I
Watching
the
videos.
title, I was just like, okay, I like this band already. Before you hear a note.
Yeah,
Um,
Crystal sent that to us in a text thread, and we were like, yeah, that there's no other
Right.
option. Like that's the one.
Yeah.
1000%. That's awesome.
Excellent. Hello.
Hi, I had Muzzins playing in the background.
Oh,
Perfect.
in my ears.
well, I mean, it makes sense.
People ask me, what are you listening to these days? And I always say, I'm listening to my own fucking music.
But that's the
I
best because people never
love-
say that.
I love our music so much. And there was some bumps internally to get over, thinking, am I an asshole for listening to my own music? For a moment, for a brief moment. And as soon as I understood the love I feel for what comes through us, because it comes through us, I feel like a channel or a vessel or a pipeline for something, and I listen to it with those ears. I have never questioned it again. On repeat, my daughter loves us. She's like, Mom, play it again.
That's
And that's
awesome.
such a great barometer for, is anyone else going to like this? And that sense of like, if I can't love it, how can I expect anybody else to?
Well, right. That's when you're an asshole. You're an asshole if you create music that you're like, this is terrible. I would never listen to this.
You love it for me because I don't. I mean,
Right.
that, I'm like,
It's
I'm not
horrible.
giving you my homework.
Exactly.
My
Exactly.
homework
So right.
is to love my music so much
Yes.
that it is irresistible to anybody else. And I apply this to every aspect of my life.
I love it.
That's perfect.
That makes
So
perfect
hi,
sense. Hi.
I'm Irma's.
No, this
I
is
don't
perfect.
waste time. I
We
No,
don't either. We love it.
This is perfect because we were just before we started recording talking about fall and the depressing music of fall that you sort of get into, and we were discussing what time of year we get, and so we were getting into our saddest REM records and all of this, and then we looked at the clock and we're like, all right, we're great. We get to talk about guitar now. Like
Yes.
everything's better.
Way
Everything
better.
makes better. Like
Yes.
Summer
Yes.
once again.
We get
So-
it. Look, I have this.
oh,
here somewhere.
you have your guitar there?
I mean, the guitar is it's in a case. I was gonna take it
Fair.
out. It's a giant thing, but I'll show you a picture of it.
Awesome.
Oh my God.
That's so fun.
Do you name it?
This is a great question. I have not.
Because, like, you
named
know, we
it.
got Lucille. Like, guitars are all named, the good ones, the great ones.
My car has a name. I drive a little red Mini from 2004, stick shift. Like I
Mm.
have certain preferences.
Yes.
It is also red and black, and my guitar is also red and black. The Mini is named Escargot without the T because I don't need to use the T anymore. Haha, it's a mass. It's a
Oh,
terrible
there you
mass
go.
transition
Oh,
joke.
that's amazing.
Hilarious though.
That is,
It's good, right?
Yes.
yeah.
So the
Totally.
guitar at some point maybe will name itself, but it feels like an extension of me. It is as big as I am, but sideways. I'm 5'2" and it's about 5'2" on its side.
That's amazing.
Apparently, I'd been longing for one for 3 years. I did not realize it. And Timas, who is not here, who was our bass player, reminded me a few months before weeks before I got the guitar. I was saying it again and I didn't remember. And this is why I tell people things, because then it comes back when I need it, because I forget.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you've been saying for 3 years that you think you should get a guitar. And I was like, shit, you're right. And then that very next weekend, I had an opportunity. I was at someone's house who has the exact one that I have, because I needed to touch it. I needed to pick it up. I need to feel like, because it's the biggest fucking guitar on the market. And that's not why I got it. It does what I needed to do. And it's badass. And I picked it up, and as soon as I touched it, I'm like, that's it. And I brought it into practice. I don't think I told the guys. I don't remember. And I brought it in. See, do you remember the day? I brought it in and you're like,
Oh, yeah.
that's it. The band changes from here on out.
Perfect.
Pretty much.
But that's like, I mean, that's like the guitarist taking out a flying V, and you're like, okay, gauntlet has been thrown. We got to live up to that.
Right.
So, what was the origin story for Muzzins? How does one go from three, rough and tumble kids scraping by to guitar gods and goddesses?
Chris, you should take that.
Yeah, I mean, so there's several. We met by pure chance. I'll start from. I'll make a long story short. Tima is the bass player, and I have been playing in many bands over many years. Anything from like jazz trios to punk bands. Like we've really done it all. And we were playing in the area. We play with both of us play with Rick Berlin and the Nickel and Dime band. And one night it was actually my 40th birthday. I was having a big jam session, this like open jam session. Right now, actually, I'm in the basement of the record shop. So
That's awesome.
Oh,
there's at the time though, 3 years ago, roughly 3 years ago, I didn't have a record shop. I just had a record pop up. And that day of my 40th birthday, I had a pop up at a local farmer's market. And that was the day of my big 40th birthday party jam. And Armaz, I'll segue the story to you from there about how, that day and how we met and how we, kept it going from there.
It was a beautiful summer day in Jamaica Plain, and I'd walked over to hear my housemate at the time play at the farmer's market, because these farmer's markets, they have live music, and I went to see. And there's a stand, a vegan bakery on one side, a black run new vegan bakery, part of the setup of vendors and stalls. And so the mom is the baker, and her son was like the, manning the stall and selling the goods. And he had the gift of the like gab, and he loved his goods. He really, you could tell he was into it. He wasn't pushy, he was enthusiastic, very different, very engaging. I didn't want anything to do with cake. I was like thirsty and cotton mouth, and he had this lemon blueberry pound cake that he was offering samples of and said, it's so good, you should try some. Like he said, he kept saying, try the cake. And I was like, look, I love what you're doing here. I do not want cake. I will buy your cake and find someone to give it to. And so here I am with this box of cake that I do not want, but I love the place. And I turn this way, and here is a record store pop up. And I figured I'd go talk to the music guy, because of course that's what you do.
they
Yeah.
love cake.
I did not think about that. See, you are much more foresightful than I.
Everybody knows every record store owner loves cake.
Exactly. That's just a given.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are things I do not think about. I don't gravitate towards sweets easily myself. People think I'm very strange. I don't gravitate to sweets. I don't gravitate to chocolate. I don't gravitate to the other thing that people like. I don't remember. Camping and bananas. Anyways, that's aside. So you're with me on camping?
Yeah,
No,
okay.
no,
And
camping.
bananas.
And
Neither.
banana. I am in. You are my people.
Yes, I'm so excited to meet you because people don't get it.
Oh my God. First of all, can we talk about like banana juice is not a thing? Can
No,
we not
it's-
say
no,
it's not, it's gross.
It's
Okay, the
disgusting.
idea is disgusting.
Yes,
You see them in the stores, like, and it contains banana juice. I'm like, what even is that?
it doesn't even
It's-
exist.
It doesn't exist. Okay.
I hate to break this up, but
and the smell and the sound when someone bites them, everything. It's horrible. They're the worst thing on the planet.
where do you guys fall on plantains? I don't think we've gotten down
I
this.
love plantains.
Okay,
I
all
do.
right.
I don't
It's
mind
different.
plantain. It's
It-
different.
I don't go and get them though on purpose. Like
You
if
don't
they're
court
around,
them. You just.
yeah. If I have
It's
to
not
make
like
them
on
for
your
something-
vision board, but if it's like,
This,
if it-
look at my vision board.
yeah, right,
This
that's
is my
true.
vision board.
Perfect.
So if the world gives you plantains, you cultivate them, you
Right.
take it,
I will
but you
happily
don't-
eat them.
Okay,
Yes.
Right, but they
You're not
usually
trying to
come with, like,
manifest them.
Rice and beans
Okay.
and jerk
Right.
chicken or cauliflower, whatever.
Oh my
It
God,
comes like
yeah.
that. And I'm
Oh,
like, give me
please.
that. And I will
Yeah.
go home with that. And
Okay,
Right.
good.
I did not want the cake, just like I do
Oh,
not
sorry.
want
Yes,
the
we're
bananas.
right. Okay.
But
Yes.
so I go over and Chris and I have, it's Chris, obviously, and we have a 10-minute conversation, like right away, very easy, zero friction, zero effort. And 10 minutes in, I'm like, I know we just met, but do you want a piece of cake? Like, this is weird, but do you want to be? And immediately he's like, yes, that's exactly what I want. And he tells me the story of the birthday. And he says, you know what? I have a party tonight. It's a jam session for my birthday. Do you want to come? And I said, I have a melodica. Can I bring it? And he said, yeah. And so I show up, and the rest of his like clan from Philly and all his family is there. I mean, this is a big family event, and me. And everyone's asking me, so how do you know him? I was like, well, we met this morning over cake. It's a long story.
Yes.
and we started playing music right away. And Timas was there, a bass player was there, and another friend of theirs from their other band, which is a phenomenal band, Riding Shotgun. So shout out to Riding Shotgun. I'm a huge fan. So Joe was there, who's their guitar player. And your dad jumped in. I mean, so many people, there was multiple keyboard setups, and I think maybe there was a whole bunch of things set up. Like clearly these people knew what they were doing. We fell into it right away. Every groove he put down, I was in the pocket, just like right away. At the end of the night, we were like, we have to do this again. And we did it again and again and again and again and again. And we haven't stopped since. It's been 3 years. We had a pandemic in the middle, but we've maintained that small detail, right?
Yeah,
Whatever.
And we've maintained the relationship. For me, it is all related. We play from relationship. We play from feeling. We respond to each other. We listen to each other. We have so much fun together. We're super nerdy and we laugh a lot. And we're a stoner band and we just like a good hang, and we like to get deep into that headspace, that music headspace where like everything else becomes obliterated and it's pure flow. That's our zone of genius. And we write some pretty fucking weird shit also, which is awesome. Chris is like our resident like punk master, and he'll bring all of that wild, crazy energy, which I freaking love. So we've got like whiplash kind of songs that'll go from like jazz to thrash to back, you know. And then we're writing some super groovy stuff right now, also like deep headspace, kind of trancey, right? Anthemic, big expansive feelings. And the show is an experience.
It sounds like it.
It is
In the best
completely from
kind.
beginning to end. It is a full like, and I invite people into the headspace, and there's consent and boundaries I set up at the beginning, right? You may enter and you may also like take space, lots of feelings. There's a huge range of feelings we allow to be expressed that come through. So it is really like a facilitated trip experience
awesome.
disguised as music.
Love it. That's so fun.
Yeah.
So, Chris, was this something that the three of you sort of decided early on? This is just, it's going to be what it's going to be? Because it seems like this is something that just very naturally, girl shows up with a melodica.
And
Here
cake.
we go. Yeah, and cake, lest we forget.
I think Muzzins kind of manifested itself. You know, there's a lot to be said about, I think we are all fans of music and also musicians. And I think there's really no boundaries that the three of us playing together can hit with regards to genre mashing. But even when we're talking about genre mashing, I think Arma's kind of touched on it. It's more like diving deep into the ethereal. And it's like the three of us just working together. You can't plan that sort of thing. It just kind of comes together and it works. And it's like, you can't, it's, you know, we're even coming up against it now. It's like, it's a hard thing to market. It's like, how do you sell that to people? How do you convince them like, oh, this is something you need? Or how do you even convey it, like, you know, streaming a single, that kind of thing? It's more of like something you got to go see and you got to experience. And I feel like that's the magic of it. So the way I see it, it's like not on any schedule or timeline. It's just, it is what it is. It has appeared to us. We are embracing it and loving it and holding it. And we see where it goes. And that, so that's the, I suppose the more ethereal answer. I suppose the more down to earth answer is like, we're having a lot of fun with this. It's a trio. It's a power trio, an unconventional power trio. I love the likes of Dinosaur Jr., for example. Like I really love their trio and the massive energy they bring. I think about like bands like that, and I'm like, how can we do that? Or like Husker Du, and I'm like, how can we do that, but update that for today? What does that look like today? So I think, a lot of, if I bring the down to earth answer is like, how do we update what the modern power trio is and do something that hasn't been done before? Because look, there's a lot of regurgitation of ideas out there right now. And some good and some bad. Like I'm not necessarily opposed to it, but
let's name them while we're here.
yeah. Yeah, ultimately, we're loving what we're doing. We're having a lot of fun with it, and that's the most important thing.
We play from relationship. I always say this. When we cultivate the relationship between us, the music is a reflection of that. I cultivate my inner space a lot. I do a lot of nothing also. Like I do a lot in my life. People think I'm like the most productive person on the planet. I'm like, I have zero checklists. I have zero agenda. I have, right? Only Google Calendar is my God. I go where it tells me to go most of the time, but I ignore all the exercise suggestions.
Right.
They're always at 6 a.m. and I'm like, I'm up, but I'm not going to do that. Anyways.
This was a great idea when I put it in the calendar.
And then eventually I delete it. I'm like, okay, this has been on for 2 months and I haven't done it once. So let's take that off. So there's something for me about, it's a psycho-spiritual headspace of cultivating the inner space, cultivating the relationship space between us, within us and between us. And for me, the experience then resonates with the people, right? However they experience, it is an experience. And I'm not saying that to be an asshole. Like I don't know how else to talk about it. That's how I'm in it. So
When I hear you describe it, it sounds like, to both of your points, that a little bit of you got to see it to believe it, but that creating that space, creating that kind of energy, for lack of a better word, because we've talked with other musicians about the idea of that weird alchemy that happens on stage with an audience present. And both of those things need to be there to get that, to reach a certain level of
magic.
Yeah. And it seems like, to put in a plug for Summit Fest. See, like how we did that?
Yeah,
I like that.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
It's great. I think, and we're learning too as we play. We've played all of the stuff that's happened for us has happened. I think Summit might be our 10th ever show out. That might be number 10. Very few shows, and we have actually intentionally decided we're going to be that band that does not play everywhere all the time. Like we have a certain criteria of what the experience is that we want it to be. And of course, it's not to say, we play the Crystal Ballroom, we play the Midway, we play the Jungle, we play different places, and we love them. They all have a different vibe, but we get from that information, right? I particularly like when we're in a cocooned environment, like a club environment at night, like there's certainly a vibe and we can hear ourselves also in a certain way, right? So hearing ourselves, especially because we improv, right? So the quality of the sound in the house as well as in our monitoring and everything is becoming important. So we're quickly discerning, we're becoming that band that's like, we talked about this early on too, like our filter question is that we are a premium band in that the energy is what is most important. And so whatever it takes to maintain and preserve and elevate the energy, we will do that, right? If that means I'm not playing multiple shows in a weekend, right? It takes a huge toll on my physicality too. They're very intense performances. I'm in physical therapy for my knees now. I'm 45, starting this career
I love
in my life.
Well, you gotta be professional. That guitar is
Super
a
pro.
dedication.
Yes.
It is, right? And that's my setup is very minimalist. It's this giant guitar and a small backpack. I have got to be able to transport my own gear wherever I go in my little Mini Cooper, right?
Without the T.
Without the T.
Without the T, escargot.
Without the T. Look at that. See, you remember. It's a good story.
Love it.
So it's kind of updating the power trio, but like with an 80s throwback, like with the synth sounds of the guitar and that kind of look, right? And some of the music we play, I think, has throwbacks to that 80s and 90s kind of sounds. So yeah, I'm in love with what we do.
That's so fun.
You
What
hear
kind of-
it.
Yeah, you do. And it just sounds so fun. I would love to be there for this. This is
I mean, there's a
awesome.
vaudevillian component to the opening of the show as well.
Amazing.
Just me in a strange costume, and there's, you know, a kind of a burlesque undressing that happens, right? So it is trip music. You don't need to be high to get there.
I love it.
That's
So
amazing.
what have you heard from these 9 audiences thus far?
Every single show we have instant super fans. It's a few,
Okay.
right? We're like a portal, and for the people who know the frequency,
Right.
they're in right away. Like as soon as we're off stage, they're like zoop, and they're right up front and saying, who are you? What are you? Where have you been all my life? How do I find you? And we disappear off into a little corner while the rest of the party goes on, and you know, whatever happens.
Mhm.
Every single show, and my mission was like, every show we make one true fan. That's all. One true fan at every show. And if that's nobody else, it's going to be me again and again for my own
Love
damn
it.
band. But we've had handfuls of people, right? We're kind of this super niche cult. Like we are not for everyone. We have a lot
That's
of
okay.
integrity. We
Yeah.
have a lot of integrity as a band, and we are not for everyone. We're super on the edge, right? And the forefront, it's like a trailblazing forefront kind of an edge, but like in a corner, you know, we're dark. We can go deep, we can go dark very easily, and we're very heady and very body, both. So it's not a headspace for everybody. It's an intense headspace.
But it also, you know, it sounds like, well, that's something like you were saying, Chris, you can't really put on a bumper sticker, but it's something that if you get it, it's a very deep connection and a very like, oh, you know, like you said, where have you guys been all my life? This sort of like,
We have super fans, people who come. I mean, we've got a couple of people who come and do visuals for us. And they know when our shows are, and they'll reach out, say, we see you're playing a show, do you want us to do visual? And they'll just show up and make custom visuals for us
wow.
and do projections. Photographers keep sending us, they just want to, you know, take photographs of us. Right, we've got other music. We're like a musicians band, so we've got musician fans who are like, we want our people to know. And what do you need? Like, what do you need to get this out into the places it needs to go? It's like an instant grassroots kind of support everywhere I turn. Right, just a few people. It just takes a few, and we're not trying. We're just being us, and it's like a magnet kind of a thing. Yeah, our first single is called Electromagnetic, and it's just this feeling, right, of like it's like a feeling of natural attraction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because again, like the idea you're not trying to please everybody, like that's, but the fact that you're starting with the 3 of you going, I really like this. There's something here.
Right.
Like I can listen to this. I'm taking something from this, and the fact that you play so few shows makes this seem like you don't want to miss it in a way.
It's like an acid trip. You don't do that every day.
No,
Oh, do you?
definitely not advised.
I mean, but each of us also brings something very special to the equation. You know, Tom, I don't want to play bass with anybody else but Tima's. Like, there's nobody else I want to play bass with, because there's a certain feeling that I get from his particular way of playing the bass that I say, I need that in my body. It's a very physical thing. And he also brings production and kind of the engineering chops to things. That he's the guy, he's doing some of our, producing some of our singles, post-producing some of our singles. So all of that tinkering and fine tuning and all of that, which I'm like, I don't want to touch that at all. I'm the intuitive one, like, blah, here's a bunch of stuff. And he's like, I love picking that apart and layering it and putting effects on. I'm like, great, you do that, you know, and other things like our web stuff and, you know, pushing the buttons. He's a technical guy. And then Chris brings I don't want to play drums with anybody else, right? I mean, I don't know anybody else that could be, there's no substitutes in this band. And he brings all of the, the knowledge with the record label and the industry and just being out in the world. Like Chris is everywhere all the time. Chris is like an omnipresent person. It's some kind of magic, right? And he knows everybody and is a good human being, right? It's very rare. And I'm like, and they got me. I remember early on, Chris is like, you can scream louder than that, and you can climb up on the amp, and you can kick that thing over. And I'm like, what? Everything I wanted to do but was not allowed in my life. These guys are not only saying it's okay, they're like, you can do more of that, and we got your back. Like,
awesome.
they got me. Like, I can do anything. It's like a trust fall 24/7 with them, and I'm just floating. Like, they've got me. It's the best feeling in the world. And I was like, nobody else gets to touch me like that.
That's fantastic.
I don't know if there's anything else to add, that we could add anything. That's just like, as
I'm
far
just
as
sitting here listening and thinking of all the bands we've spoken to and how some of the most famous recording artists in the world would be so jealous of what you're saying right now.
Very, very true.
So many people that have played together and played the world stage don't have that feeling with their bandmates,
It's
and their
the
audience.
most important thing.
Yeah.
The music is representative of that. The music is symbolic. We're a revolutionary force.
Yeah.
Well, it's that whole idea of, if you can't love yourself, who can you
That's the
expect anyone else
message.
to? Yeah.
That is the message, and we embody the message with heart, mind, body, soul, and spirit. We live the message. It would be anything less than that would be impure. Chris knows I'm adamant. I am very stubborn, and I'm adamant to a fault. I will push people with great compassion and love, but I'm like, look at the thing you are so afraid to look at. I will look at it with you. I will hold your hand while you shake and tremble and cry. With your consent, we will go there. And I will go there with you. And I will also say, this is fucking scary. I'm not going to lie. And we will go there together. And we will maybe come out alive and be okay with the chance that we may not, but it'll be worth it anyways. Am I not the most stubborn mule you have ever met, Chris?
I would say, it's funny. We did another podcast interview recently, and it was there was a good question. It was like, hey, describe what each person does in the band. You don't describe what you do in the band, but describe what the other person does in the band. And so it came to me, and I had to talk about Armaz. And it was like, obviously Armaz is a singer and a guitar player and a melodica player, but I would say Armaz is our spiritual leader. When Armaz, when you're talking about a foundation, I feel like it was early on, it was, and continuing, it was like, Tom and I have been playing together for years in many bands. And so we speak the same musical language and are very much connected. It's like, it's our social responsibility to kind of form the foundation so that, of this, so that you can float on top and lead and guide and take people where they need to go. And so I think a lot of what you're saying is like, yeah, we are like a band, but there's a little bit of healing. There's a little bit of journeying. There's a little bit of, there's some messages in there. And some of it, I'd say a lot of it, we're kind of discovering as we go along. And to the point that was made earlier about like, bands being in bands when they may not necessarily get along or have like tough relationships. And there's a point to be made that sometimes that, good music comes out of tough relationships. You know what I mean? That, arguably, there's a lot of bands that don't get along that make awesome music. You know what I mean? So, there's no one way or right or wrong way to do this. But this is the way that works for us. You know what I mean? And I think there's also like like I said, we're middle-aged, we are experienced musicians, we've been doing it for a long time. But it's like, I'm at a point where it's like, let's just do this for fun. Let's do the chips fall where they may. Let's find the fans, let's find the people that are there for the music. Like, fuck trying to fool the algorithm and, get millions of streams. Like, let's just be real and find real people and do real things.
So, this will sound like a flippant question to start.
Yeah.
It's like,
Kenny Brothers. Wait, no. So I have a propensity for asking dumb questions, but Kenny Brothers Band. Are there actual brothers in this band?
Yeah, so
Okay.
there's a total of four of us, but it's me and then my two older brothers. So there's three brothers total. And then there's another good friend that plays keyboards too.
ooh. So
Okay.
what's it like
Got
for
four.
them to be the keyboardist and the non-brother? That feels like sort of a double difficult role.
Yeah.
That's two strikes walking up to the plate.
Right. You're
Yeah.
like way left out if you're that guy.
He does a good job hanging out and everything. Like we get along like he's another brother type of thing. But yeah, that formation it's been like 2 years now with us four, so it's been good.
And is that sort of when you guys sort of feel like you hit upon something and that this is the lineup to go forward?
Yeah, like we've gone through a lot of lineups. Just like we played with like a bunch of our cousin played keys at one point. It was kind
That
of
must make Thanksgiving weird.
yeah.
Right.
Actually, we didn't have we never ran into that because our whatever it was a different side of the family. But there's
Close
actually
call.
there's another musician actually on that side of the family too that we're like, should we play or should we?
Yeah, that's super awkward. Like, do
Yeah.
we invite them or not?
Yeah, it's like, should we just hang out and enjoy, the time together, or should we like get to work and actually play?
I
Musical.
feel like I would pick play because then you don't have to do the dishes. You don't
good
have
point.
to watch the game if you don't want to. Like, you don't do any of those things.
No, yeah, you can avoid all that pretty easily.
Yeah.
And
This
then
is
like
the-
people can choose if they want to listen or not. You kind of just like play in the corner,
Yeah, that's a very, I gotta pick up my flute again. Entertain everyone at family gatherings.
Now, I can't help but notice right behind you there is both a banjo and it looks like a Gibson SG, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
yeah, it's an Epiphone actually.
Okay.
But yeah.
Now, I'm assuming you play both of those. You don't just hang them up as conversation pieces.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I play I don't know how many guitars I have now at this point. Not too many, but yeah, like whenever I got those probably the last couple of years, been playing a little bit more banjo and guitar lately, writing a lot on the electric guitar, so I've been using that quite a bit. But yeah, it was nice. Like I was, lucky enough to have a little space in our apartment to like make a little studio, and I kind of have, I don't know, I guess taken over it a little bit at this point. But yeah, it's a good little space. Been trying to write some new stuff in this little spot. So
And what's that dynamic like between the brothers? Because there are other groups made up of brothers in a very similar genre and sound to you guys. And they
Yeah.
are all multi-instrumentalists and they all kind of do different things. Are you guys the same way that everybody plays a bunch of different things?
we do. Well, I guess we've kind of been trying out different writing, experiments, I guess, if you kind of want to call it that.
Mhm.
But well, like trying out different ways to write. So I guess like I'll usually write like, I don't know, 70% of the tune, and then I'll bring it to them when it's at a good spot where I'm like, this is good enough and it's worth playing at practice.
Right.
This is worth whatever creating, and then they add their touches on it, and I don't know, it's been begin going into like more of like funky stuff recently, so trying to like channel like 70s funk stuff.
Love it.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
That's, I mean,
And then like still blending it with what we used to do with like folky stuff, and then like just still trying to explore sounds and stuff like that, still trying to have fun.
Yeah, and as a musician, that's got to be kind of nice that after so many years of setting this lineup, that you guys are still like, well, what else can we do? Where else
Yeah,
can we go with this?
yeah, it's been a long time. We technically, I think, started playing in like 2006. So it sounds like it is a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Years,
absolutely.
but we didn't really start like writing stuff until like 6 years ago, maybe 8 years ago now. But yeah, with all the different lineups, we just kind of like played. I think we played like ska at one point. We were like a blues band at one point. We, like changed into like jazz fusion for like
That's
a
amazing.
while. Yeah, so we did all these different things, and then finally kind of came back to our roots a little bit. Like there's a lot of listening to my parents' records and stuff like that that we like were like, as kids doing that, and then kind of 8 years ago or so, kind of returning to that same thing. We kind of figured out, okay, this is our lineup. This is what we want to go for sound wise and stuff like that. So,
Is that what prompted you at that point to start the writing side of it, or?
yeah, well, I feel like a lot of traveling, like when I was, I don't know, if I was 18 or 19, and we kind of like put a pause on the band. We've done it a few times throughout the years or whatever, but I like went out and did like a bunch of hiking and stuff in Arizona and like Southwest US. And so I don't know, I hadn't played music in like a long time, and somebody had a guitar and they brought it like at a campfire one night. And I just wrote songs from there, and then kind of been obsessed with songwriting ever since that. That was like 2013 or something.
Wow.
So
That's a nice way to kind of rediscover your voice or to find your voice.
Yeah.
yeah, it was pretty much finding it. I was like, oh, maybe I can figure out how to write songs. It was like nobody wanted to sing for the longest time. It was like a jazz fusion era for like 3 or 4 years, and it was more about like, I don't know, there were certain sounds that we really liked in jazz fusion, but it was also just nobody had to sing. At the
Very
time, or like, "Oh, I don't want to be the front man or whatever, or like draw all this attention to me. I kind of want it just to be this collective jam thing." But eventually we figured out how to do it. My other brother writes too, the guitar player. So like our first record, he wrote a few songs and all that. And so it's pretty collaborative effort to get everything where we like it, at least.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
what's that kind of division of labor as far as who okays the song? Does everyone get an equal vote, or does the keyboardist get less?
Or does he get more?
Is it like,
Because he's
well,
like non-biased party.
brothers, you guys like this? Jeff, like, does he get a say? His name's not Jeff, is it?
It's Tim, which is
Okay, good.
pretty
Yeah.
along those lines. Yeah. No, yeah. So I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like that's a collective thing too. Because I feel like we all feel it at the same time. Like, okay, this is done,
That's
because
pretty awesome.
It is hard to come to that conclusion. You're like, all right, is this good enough? But I think, it takes a long time to figure it out. But I do think that we all pretty much have an equal say when we're like, yeah, that was good,
Even Tim?
it,
Even Tim.
All right. We hope he's thrilled to hear this.
I feel like Tim gets more say.
You think?
That's a big weight.
Yeah.
It's more than he knows.
Right.
Maybe he'll listen to this. I don't know, but
Maybe now he's gonna come back and be like, I get to be the sole decider. I listen
Yeah,
to this
Tim, ask for a
stupid
bigger
show,
cut.
and
Yeah.
I'm in charge now.
But yeah, so yeah, it's been good playing with him. We've been looking for a keyboardist for a long time, so and we've been having a lot of fun the last few years. So hopefully, we're about to get record a new record. So we'll see. We'll get to it and hopefully create something better than we've ever done. We'll see.
Oh, and I love like with your musical like world tour basically of genres. As a fan, really every album is probably such a surprise. Like, what's it going to be? What journey are we going on this week?
Yeah, I wonder if we like should do that more because
I love it.
Because we've been kind of keeping it pretty consistent. It's been like we started with like more of a folky thing, went into more of a rock and roll, like Rolling Stones, Tom Petty sort of vibe. And then we kind of put out this like hybrid of those two. And then now we're into like funky, but it's all like the same, like folk rock and roll kind of improvised sometimes. But it's like, we do try to like, depending on what we listen to, I feel like a little bit. It's like, oh, like I've been listening to a lot of like Little Feat and like the band and I don't know, some My Morning Jacket maybe or something. And it's like, oh, like that's a cool take that these guys all did. Let's try to combine that. Or it's not even that like orchestrated like that, but we kind of go for a little bit of a, I don't know, bypass, or like it's like a road.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's probably better that it's not orchestrated or kind of
Right.
That's an organic discovery of the four of you going, well, where else can this thing go? What else can we do with this?
Right. Yeah, it's being brothers. I think that actually helps with that sort of like idea. Is that we are all trying to get better, like and just like trying to explore new genres, seeing how that can apply to what we want to do. So I think being brothers, we always talk about it, even if we might be hanging out at practice, or we might, go to our parents' house, on Sunday and just end up hanging out in a corner talking about music for like 3 hours and not really realizing.
Again, gets out of any awkward family
Yeah,
discussion.
it's really
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, it's a pretty good mechanism.
I know. We definitely got to play more.
Yeah. Now, when we've talked with other musical brothers, they have said that there is some sort of innate communication that they have said. We were talking with the two brothers from the Interrupters, and they claim, we didn't have a chance to check their work, but they claim that one was playing outside, one was playing inside, bassist and drummer, and that they both could not hear each other, but were completely in sync at the same time. And they credited this to this innate brother connection. I believe they're twins, weren't they?
I think so.
It might be that too. But there's a sibling thing going on there too. Do you guys have that, or do we need to go like knock them on the head and see if we can get it?
No, we definitely have that. It's like we do end up doing like a lot of like improv stuff. Like I wouldn't call it jazz, but I wouldn't call it like jam band either. It's kind of this like rock and roll improv stuff. And especially like when we go with, go into stuff like that, we kind of know. Also, it helps, we've been playing so long.
Yeah.
Just being brothers in that way too. Like growing up, it's like you just know everybody's tendencies to like, drumming patterns or licks. You just kind of, you can kind of like, you just heard it so many times almost that you just like, you all latch on, what that person's doing, and then it's kind of all about listening. Really is like listening to what everybody else is playing, because sometimes you can get into a zone where you're like, I need to make sure my vocal part is like perfect, And so you're just in your head thinking vocal part, but you're not actually listening to everything that's around you to actually, sonically make it like one whole thing. That's a, a thing that we are just trying to figure out. It's a, but yeah, I kind of forgot what my train of thought. But
No, that's quite all right. It probably
Yeah.
wasn't good enough a question for a follow-up.
no, that was a
Um,
great question. I had a bunch of different thoughts on that. I forget.
Well,
What was the
but looking ahead to, it was something about your siblings, but who cares about them? They're not here.
I know. Why are we talking about them? They're
Yeah,
not
I don't know
here.
why this is stupid. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
they don't have the decency to show
yeah.
up.
I remember, yeah, it was just songs playing together or whatever, like for a long time. Yeah, that's a
Yes.
that's a dumb thought. We're good on that.
Yeah.